Pat North's appointment to the SCG was still fairly recent, but she'd come to it knowing a great deal about the unit's methods and personalities. This was because she had lived for the past 3 years with Detective Superintendent Michael Walker, who may have been a maverick, but was still one of the Met's most experienced murder investigators. In fact, it had been on a murder that she'd met Walker in Docklands during a stint on CID at a station there 6 years ago. That had been just after she'd made Inspector. Walker had seconded her to his team, hotly denying forever after that he'd only done it because he fancied her. As a professional role model, Walker left some things to be desired. He was impatient, unconventional, and irascible, but he was also incisive and passionately committed, and that more than anything was the reason she'd first respected him, fallen for him, and finally loved him. At some point in the future, when his interminable divorce from Lynn at last came through, they were due to be married. It took most of Thursday to assemble North's team of 8 officers for the Binley Wood inquiry, and she was pleased to find a leavening of familiar faces amongst them. Detective Constable Lisa West was well known to her as a reliable girl and sharp as a pin. North also went way back with DC Doug Collins, a solid officer and a reassuring experienced presence on what could turn out to be a high-profile case. The one problematic figure might be Dave Satchell, she thought. The detective sergeant was Mike Walker's oldest friend in the job and had been his faithful colleague. Sidekick was the term she had heard used by malicious tongues on numerous investigations dating back to before North and Walker had got together. But she at least would be forewarned about Satchell's foibles, not least his belief that no woman could be a better police officer than a man, and that no other man could be a better senior investigative officer than Michael Walker. At the same time, North knew Satchell to be honest, bright, and capable of long hours of hard work. Looking around the incident room on this second morning, following her appointment as SIO, she thought the team assigned to her could have been a lot worse. The purpose of this morning's briefing was to review all inquiries made so far by the local boys and then, last evening, by Satchell, and to plot the immediate steps they themselves needed to take. North had lain awake that night with Walker snoring beside her, thinking things through. It might conceivably be a family thing, but it looked at this stage much more like an abduction, with the most likely motive being sexual. In other words, Jane Mellor had probably fallen into the hands of a predatory rapist. If so, the most important factor for North to bear in mind was that the victim might still be alive, and that police actions, North's own actions, would therefore affect her chances of staying that way. The second and closely related consideration was the identity of the abductor, and at this point the questions began to multiply. Was he known to Jane? Was he a local man? Did he have a police record? Was his action premeditated? How did he travel to the scene? Did he have accomplices? Did he leave any traces? There was another possibility, an even darker one if that were possible. Perhaps this man's real target had not been Jane Mellor at all. Perhaps he'd been trying to get at Tara and Di. She had kicked off the briefing by asking Dave Satchell to give an account of his interview with Jane Mellor's husband the day before. Both James Mellor and his wife taught music. The routine of work and family life had not recently been disturbed. There was no indication of anything amiss. As Satchell finished speaking, North took up the thread, reiterating the same questions she had asked herself the night before. Both girls gave the same description, she said, turning to Satchell. White male, 5'8" to 10, bearded. Yes? Satchell nodded. Yes, they both told the same story without putting their heads together. Said the man was hiding in the woods when they got there. When Satchell spoke, it was not just to North, she noticed, but to the team as a whole. He walked across and tapped a map of Binley Wood, which was pinned to a wallboard at the end of the incident room. Beside it were photographs of Jane Mellor and Polaroids taken of the woods from the path which Jane and the girls had taken. It was just about here. At the moment his index finger touched the map, his mobile phone rang. He was expecting a call from the lab, where various items already found in the woods were being tested. He looked at the LCD display on his phone. It wasn't the lab. It was Mike Walker. He put the mobile to his ear and thumbed the connect button. "Excuse me," Satchell mumbled to the company at large, strolling to the side of the room. "It's the lab."